This is Wretched Radio with Todd Friel.
That's right. I'm going to do it again. This is Wretched Radio, discussing lovingly a difference of opinion on most certainly a tertiary issue, but it is a most excellent biblical exercise. Masks, the government, and 1 Peter 2. Do I submit, even if it is a mandate I don't like from a government I'm not nuts about, because 1 Peter 2 and Romans 13 say, submit to your government, do what you're told, pay your taxes, honor the king, and even the local authorities. Makes its way down the ladder. I offered, I'm afraid I think we do. You may or may not like it, but I don't see an out. I don't see any way of escaping a clear command. And so it is. Before we jump back into your responses, you're loving. They truly were. It was just a delight to read your disagreements with me, because it's the way Christians should dialogue with one another. Let me try to respond with another anecdote. Let's just say, for yucks, that you are a parent and you give your child a command to do something. And your child responded by saying, yeah, but Dad, 3 days ago, you said something else. So therefore, I'm not going to obey you. You'd say, well, look, honey, I'm not going to go back and go to court over what happened a few days ago. This is today, and this is what I'm telling you. So I'm telling you, you've got to go clean your room right now. That's what you would expect, because you have that authority. And even if you weren't acting in the most consistent manner, you would expect obedience. And I think that's what we're commanded to do in Romans 13 and 1 Peter 2. Even if the government isn't being consistent, even if this is a moving target, we still have to obey. Anecdote number 2, you're a parent and you say to your child, I would like for you to wash your brother's bicycle. And if your child said, can't do that, Dad, because I think that you have a plan. You just want me to be busy out here with the bicycle because you plan on signing papers to have me adopted to another family. You'd say, whether or not I actually have those plans, I'm telling you to go wash your brother's bike. And you can do that because you have the authority. Despite what your nefarious intentions may or may not be, you have the authority to do so, and you'd expect your child to behave. And I think that's fair with what we have going on with our government. We may think that this is nefarious. We may believe that this is about the election in the fall. It could be. History may or may not reveal it. Other talk shows can deal with it. But in the meantime, Romans 13 and 1 Peter 2 says, do what you're told. It doesn't matter what they're up to. It is very likely that Nero was doing things to Christians in order to get away with setting the place on fire himself. Nevertheless, Paul says, submit to that guy. He's up to shenanigans, up to no goods. He's a liar. He's a terrible emperor. Submit to him. And that is the same situation I think we find ourselves in. And I can't get around it. And my attitude or preference for masking or for not masking, it really doesn't matter. They have the authority given by God. And so it is. We'll jump back into your responses. I tried to grab a number of them that I thought were representative of many more. And you can continue to send me emails if you'd like to at idea@wretched.org. Masks are about shame, writes Kenneth, about perpetuating fear and exercising control. This is the modus operandi of the Democrats running their states into the ground at their whim. You could be entirely right. Submit to the government. Submit to your authorities. You could be right, Kenneth. I wouldn't argue with you. I don't see that there's a caveat. I don't see an exception inside of these verses that tell me I can get away with that. This is from Doug. Realistically, masks do not work. Yep, could be. Government has authority. They tell me to put it on. I have to do what I'm told. I feel as though it's a compromise of my faith to wear a mask. Well, now this is interesting, isn't it? Let's open this up from that perspective. Wait a second. Now we've introduced another subject here. I feel like this is that this is something that is causing my faith to be compromised. He writes to me, wearing a mask says that my faith is not in God to keep me healthy and well. Wearing a mask says that I have faith in the mask to sustain me, and it takes over for God in that role. Okay, so here's what we've got. On the one hand, this is a feeling from Doug that if I put on a mask, I'm telling the world I'm trusting a mask and not God. On the other hand, my argument was you're telling the world I obey a government because God told me to, and I'm putting my trust in him. Well, so now how do you tip the scale? And I think it gets tipped for us. Submit to the governing authorities. And we're just going to let people have to interpret it the way that they see fit. But God tips the scale for me by telling me, submit to your government. Do what you're told. This is from Christine. Are we to joyfully comply and obey government when they start handing out the mark of the beast so that they can buy and sell and eat to live? I don't know that this is that. Could it be, is it possible, Christine, that this is the government, deep state, that this is their plan to kind of move things toward because Antichrist is coming and there's could be. I don't know. But I don't think this is that. I don't think a mask is the mark of the beast. And so I think that we're just told, submit to the government. Just do what you're told. Could it be conditioning people? Maybe. Maybe not. I don't know. But my speculations, as good or accurate as they may or may not be, they don't matter. When I'm given a clear command, son, wash your brother's bike. You don't know what I'm up to, and it's really not your concern. Just do what you are told. This was sent from a number of people, actually. Nevertheless, what if the next mandate they give us is to line up for the ovens or FEMA camps? Oh, your children will go this way because we have other ideas for them, like August harvesting and sex slaves. Do we still obey our leaders? No, because this is not that. Being told to put on a mask, might it be conditioning? Yep. But just the same, if they're going to tell me to put my kid into an oven, I'm not going to obey that. Just like, who was it that was told to jump into an oven and actually obeyed? They didn't fight. The boys, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they were put into the oven. But I don't have to surrender my child if there's nefarious intentions. My command from God is to protect my children, no matter who that is. So I don't think that this is actually that. Idea@wretched.org. I suspect you might be disagreeing with me. By the time they tell me I have to wear a burqa, it's too late to protest. This is from Marge. We are headed exactly in that direction if we don't let them know that we also have a brain and have reason that it's very unhealthy to wear a mask. I realize we're commanded by God to do as the government says because it's pleasing to God. He put them in place, and now you know there's going to be a conjunction here. But when they came up with unhealthy rules that are of no value, I think we have to act as Daniel acted, and he was told to bow down. See, he was commanded to sin. Putting on a mask isn't a command to sin. Now, if it's bad for your health, I believe that they've actually already made that exception, that if you have any sort of breathing issue, asthma, you don't have to wear a mask. In the places where they've mandated it, whatever that means. By the way, that's another response that many, many people had to my presentation on 1 Peter 2, submitting to the government even when we don't like it, because there's a joyful benefit in doing so, that the government is telling us to do something that could actually be physically harmful to some people. Right. That could be. But by them saying already you don't have to, well, they're demonstrating a little flexibility. But you say it's a mandate. They don't have the authority to do that. In fact, in Georgia, that's exactly what's going on. The mayor of Atlanta, Keisha Lance Bottoms, she's mandated masks are to be worn in Atlanta. Governor Brian Kemp said you can't enforce that because it's not a law. That's not the way it works. Okay, now where do you find yourself? I grant you, I'm not banging my fist on the table, but here it is. A mayor of my city says, I'm signing something that says wear a mask. She's the authority, and the governor says, well, you can't enforce that. And there's other constitutional attorneys who would say that it's got to go through the legislation. You can't be written a ticket. You can't be put in jail for a mandate. That's just not the way it works. Now, what does a Christian do? Let me just suggest this. The scale should tip more toward, rather than how do I get out of this? How do I obey God by obeying my government to bring him glory and potentially see souls saved? Different Christians are going to have a different response to that. But I'm simply encouraging a striving to be obedient even as I potentially don't like it. Discuss. This is Wretched Radio.
Hello, Maria. This is Todd Friel from your auto insurance company, noticing you're not taking advantage of any of our life insurance policies. Really? Oh, really? You're not afraid to die? That's funny. Listen to this clip from Paul Washer.
I'm talking about you.
So what do you think of that, Maria? Maria?